Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Today's October 29th. It's 12:16 p.m. This is Matt Lindeman with the Texas Rangers at the Giddings County Sheriff's Office. Aaron, you're not under arrest. You're free to leave, okay? Anytime you want to get up and walk out of here, you're free to do so. I just want you to make sure that you understand that. It's W-H-I-T-E?
Correct.
This is the first time you met Detective Knudsen?
Yes.
Okay. A-A-R-O-N?
Yes.
Middle?
Michael.
How old are you right now?
27.
Your birthday? Hair and eye color?
Brown.
How tall are you?
6'3".
And your weight?
About 200.
Social? DL number? How long have you worked at Georgetown Police Department?
I've been on the street for a week.
Golly. You had law enforcement prior?
No. I'm a newbie.
Well, this isn't going to happen to you every week. Hopefully, okay?
Hopefully.
All right. Your home address? What's the zip there? Home phone? Okay. Been on the road for a week. Who, I don't know who's talked to you, what you know, or anything else, but we're concerned with some calls that were made over to Water's Edge Apartments early this past Friday morning. Tell me about your shift that day at the police department. Who you're working with, who your supervisor was.
FTO is going to be Justin Robbins, and then Sergeant Fennell is our supervisor.
Okay.
How far back do you want me to go?
Anything happen? Start the beginning of that shift. Anything unusual happen, or just tell me how things went? Kind of
No,
went
it's pretty slow.
leading up to that.
We've been doing a lot of traffic stops to try and get my routine down. So we're doing some of those. We had a shots fired call just off of River Bend, and we were right there about to make another traffic stop. So we went off and responded to that. We were patrolling that area for probably 10 minutes, maybe. It wasn't that long. Pretty much everyone else responded to that. A couple other units, I don't know who was involved, made a traffic stop, and then we were still patrolling trying to find it, and we didn't really hear anything else. We heard one firecracker go off, so we were like, it's probably a firecracker. We thought it was a firecracker. We just heard a loud pop, so we continued patrolling, and then we heard the call about a domestic disturbance come over at Water's Edge, so we went over there, but again, we were, what was it, like 5th? There were probably 4 cars there already. And then almost the same time, just about the time we got there, there was another call that came in about another domestic disturbance off of Northwest. So we pulled into Water's Edge, saw that there were probably 4 or 5 units already at Water's Crest. I actually did get out, walked down, saw that they were talking to one male, one female, and FTO Robbins followed me. Saw there was pretty much everybody was taken care of, and so we turned around and was going to respond to Northwest disturbance. And
y'all never really checked out. Y'all just stopped there.
Stopped in.
Okay.
He may have checked out. We both will go back and forth. And
how long are y'all there? You say a minute, 10 minutes, 20 minutes?
No, it was probably a minute, maybe 2. Long enough for me to get down there from where we parked.
Okay.
See what was going on, have him come around, make sure everything, that we weren't needed, and we turned back around and got back to the car.
Y'all responded over to Northwest Boulevard?
Right, and then we started going over that direction.
some real serious allegations have been made against Sergeant Fennell, and that's why the detective and I are conducting this investigation. If it's administrative matters, it's handled within y'all's internal affairs, but there's criminal allegations made here. So, has anybody talked to you about this?
Just in passing, just overheard something like a rape allegation or something like that. But again, it's all hearsay. I haven't sat down and figured out what was going on, but just from people talking, said it was real serious. And they basically said, if you weren't there, that's good. Just kind of stay. If you weren't involved, don't get involved. It's
After you guys left Water's Edge that night, you remember seeing the sergeant anymore that evening? If so, where?
Back to the station. I don't remember what time. It was honestly after everything had happened, and then.
There was a second call over there.
We were at the station when the second call came in, and that's when he left to respond to that.
Okay.
Because we were doing paperwork, so.
Do you know how long he was there prior to that?
We came in, and a call came out that there was allegations, something like that happened.
Come on, radio.
I don't remember if it did or not. And then as soon as he heard it, he left to take care of it, and we were doing paperwork.
And did you see him anymore that night?
Not until the shift.
So you guys left Water's Edge on the first call, and y'all went over to Northwest Boulevard area. Did you see him over there, or see his car, or anything like that?
We never actually got to respond to Northwest. We were getting over there, and the dispatcher came back around and said that she doesn't want to talk to any officers and that kind of thing. Basically shut it down.
Okay.
So then we went back to start patrolling again, I think. So we never really responded to either one of the calls.
Did y'all have any telephone or radio traffic or MDT traffic with the sergeant?
No, I didn't.
What about Justin?
I couldn't say if he had or not. I don't think he did.
You'd probably know it, though.
I would probably know. But we didn't see, I didn't even know what was going on until after we got to the station and I heard the allegation, and he left to respond to that, and that was, it was probably early in the morning. I don't know what time it was. It wasn't big enough for me to even notice what time it was. And then I didn't see him again until probably 5:30, whatever. He was kind of rolling back in, and
did you call all the guys together and say, hey, this is what?
They were outside talking. I didn't see who was out there because people were in and out, so I couldn't even say who was even in that group and talking. I know he was outside.
But as far as addressing the whole shift,
he didn't.
Nobody's told you what to say or not to say.
I was never even addressed about it. We were inside. A couple of us were inside, and I guess they were talking about it, but I couldn't even say if they're talking about it or not. I wasn't out there.
When you say they, who's they?
All I know is that I remember Sergeant Fennell was out there.
Like out back of the police
Just
department?
right, like when the entry door is, he was out there, but I couldn't even say who was, because people were still coming in and out, so I don't know who was coming and who was going and who was actually in that group. I just know that there were several people out there talking, but I never went outside to look to see what it was. I knew it was none of my business. I was not, if I was needed, I would have been out there. So.
You don't even remember one person's name that was out there?
Mm-hmm. I said I don't remember who was out there because people were coming and going, and I knew there were still people talking, but I don't remember who it was. And because I never went out, I was sitting down, so I would have to have gotten up and looked like through the window to see who was out there.
Who do you think it was?
I couldn't tell you who I think it was. I honestly don't know.
You got your shift's ending, then the day shift's coming on, so there's probably
there's
people coming in and out.
The first officer I think got there like for a day shift like 5:40, 5:45, somewhere in there, because I left right before 6. So there were already a couple officers even coming in.
Was Robbins with you, or was he maybe outside?
I believe Robbins was with me.
What about Samper? Was he in there with you?
In and out, I think.
Down?
I think he was in the other room doing paperwork. He was assigned to Shelley, and then she left, I believe, early that night.
So he was with Robin Camp.
Right, and so he's right. Yeah, and I think they were both.
Camp back there with him, or was he?
I think both of them were back in the office doing paperwork. Usually that's where he goes. If he does paperwork, he is back where CID is. Because half the times I don't see him, but I know I heard he was in town or in that building. So.
After that second call, like 2-something, whatever it was, Sanford came and met with you and Robin?
If he did, I don't remember.
You don't remember? You don't remember Sanford ever meeting with Robbins and talking about it?
He might have. But again, it wasn't big enough for me to notice, or again, I wasn't involved, so you just.
When I was an IPO or trainee, I was in my FTO's hip pocket.
Really?
Everywhere he went, I went. They don't do it like that at Georgetown?
Sometimes I'll be filling out paperwork or trying to do a report, and he'll circle me and go to dispatch. He may run a couple errands here and there, and then come back and check on me and see how I'm doing. So that may have been when he was meeting with them. If I knew definitively if he met with Sanford, I would have told you, but I don't know if he did or not. So.
You don't have any reason to withhold any information here, do you? If you
I know what's going on.
If you knew something, you tell us.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to.
I don't know who. All I know is Fennell was involved. And it was a rape allegation, but I don't know who it was. All I know it was like a repeat caller. I guess at Water's Edge or something like that. So.
I'll give you one of my cards. Just got my cell phone. I've got that all the time with me. My office number. My office is over there to the DPS building. If you think of something or you remember something that you didn't today, I'd appreciate it if you'd call.
Okay.
And so we need to get a written statement from you, just saying, y'all check by. You have no more knowledge than that, or whatever.
Like when we fill in that, or?
I'll print one up. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, meet you.
You too.
All right. Thanks for your help.
Thank you.
It is
12:27
p.m. Today's January 4th, 2007. It's 10:53 a.m. This is Matt Lindeman with the Texas Rangers. This concerns investigation RF 2007-00748 at the Williamson County Sheriff's Office, about to conduct an interview with Georgetown Police Detective Eric Wise.
Hopefully we won't take too much of your time.
I guess you know this concerns the investigation into Jimmy Fennell.
Okay.
It's just a continuation.
Okay.
And as the more we investigate, or the more it's publicized, more people keep coming forward.
Okay.
We're just following up on leads and details and information.
Okay.
You're not under arrest and you're free to leave if you want to.
Okay.
At any time.
What we want to talk about is an incident that happened March the 12th of this year. Sergeant Fennell stopped a vehicle on traffic on Quail Valley Drive.
Okay.
You responded. I don't really know if it's whether you were dispatched there or...
Is that Department of Human Services building? What is it? They reference
Yeah.
something.
805 is Department of Human Services, like 602 or 601 or something.
Okay.
805 is the office building for those apartments.
Okay.
That apartment complex is 805, 1001, and 2200 Tower, but their offices are at 805 Quail Valley.
Do you remember that traffic stop? I think you transported a couple people to jail, maybe 4.
If it's the one I'm thinking of, there was a guy had a warrant, a lady went for POCS, and there was another girl who had been a passenger in a car I had just stopped. I arrested a guy. No, I take my jacket off. I can't remember his name. He's a local guy we always deal with. I arrested him, and she was a passenger in the car.
Okay.
I don't remember if I released the car to her or if we just made her walk and towed the car. I can't remember. But then, if this is a stop, it was a little hatchback car. If it's the one I'm thinking of, then he stopped a car. Matter of fact, I went to the jail and came back, and almost as soon as I got out of the jail, he stopped a car.
Talking about Jimmy when you say
Yeah,
he?
yeah, Jimmy. Jimmy stopped a car, and the passenger of my car was a passenger in this car also.
Okay. Was that one of the people that was arrested, or?
I don't remember. I don't think she was arrested. Matter of fact, I know she wasn't because she was at the police department later that night.
Okay. So tell me what happened when you went. Did he call you and ask you to come over there, or did dispatch you? Do you remember how you got over there to that?
I really don't remember.
Okay.
I don't know if he asked for a check by or if he called, because we were working Quail Valley and Maple, stop sign we always work.
Okay.
That's where I'd made my stop, right about there. And I think Jimmy stopped him for running that stop sign. And so he knew I was in the area and called for me maybe. Or
Okay.
maybe they sent me, I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember what happened after you got there? I mean,
When we got there, there was a really large lady, a white lady. There was a guy, I can't remember if he was a black male or white. I remember there was a guy, and then there was this girl. It was a little bitty hatchback car full of trash. The guy had a warrant, and something about their story didn't make sense or something. They were from out of town. The lady was from out of town, and they were just kind of over here. But then they had this girl who was a passenger in the car with our guy who's a big meth freak. The guy was arrested. I actually found some meth in a little purse, not a purse, but like a little makeup bag, or something like that, some kind of little pouch. I found it and turned it over to Jimmy. I think he arrested the driver for it, the large lady.
where in the car did you find it? Do you remember?
I found it right next to like the driver's seat, like in between. It was a hatchback, so it wasn't a back seat, but just kind of right next to the stand-up part of the driver's seat, somewhere right there.
Okay.
Because the car was trashed out, but then there was one bag that was all zipped up and just sitting there. You know, you knew something was up with it. Trying to think. The girl, the passenger, not the driver, not the guy, but the younger girl who I'd already dealt with, she came. I think Jimmy talked to her back at his car.
Okay.
I think he talked to her for, I don't know, 5 minutes, or however long we were there.
Is she a lot younger than the other people, or
Yes.
you keep saying girl? I don't know what makes her stand out from the other two.
Well, the other lady I wouldn't call girl. She's middle-aged, heavy set.
Okay.
Then there was the guy, and when I say girl, I mean
Just because she was quite a bit younger.
she was younger.
Okay.
Jimmy talked to her for, I guess, however long we were there. He talked to her. I don't know if he mentioned then that she was going to be an informant for him or not. I saw her at the PD later on. Later on in the night, she was up there in the sergeant's office. He was at his desk, and she was sitting there talking to him. And he mentioned at some point that she was going to be an informant for him. And I don't know if he mentioned it just later on in the night when he said, yeah, that girl's going to be an informant.
Right.
Or if he told me on the traffic stop. I don't remember when. So.
Okay. And so you wound up transporting the two.
I don't remember. If I look at the CAD notes, I could probably tell you off those notes. If that's the notes from the traffic stop, it might say in there. Let's see.
I don't know, would it show you going out of the jail maybe?
Let's see. Usually what they'll do is they'll put it, see if it's in the notes.
Did you write a supplement to that stop where you found the drugs?
Probably not.
Okay.
Usually Jimmy would just put it in there. You know, Officer Wise was on scene during the inventory, located the bag, yada yada. Let's see. Bullock in subject. Towing out of county. It just says out of county. It doesn't say. And then okay, we'll see. 2430. That was Jimmy. En route to PD, Signal X, which is a female.
Okay.
Beginning mileage is 16,675.
Okay.
So if he transported her to the PD, then I must have taken other people
Okay.
because somebody had to take her.
Okay. So, you said you saw her later on up at the PD?
Yeah, later on in the same night. She was sitting the sergeant's office. If this is the office, the desk is office. There's a door here on this corner. There's a desk here over in this corner, and then there's two chairs just up against this wall. And she was sitting in one of these chairs.
Like when you come in that back door and to the left's a counter where all the patrol guys sit.
Yeah.
Where's this sergeant's office?
To the left is a counter. You know, if you go straight down that hall at dead ends, well, if you go down that hall, it's the door that's on the right.
Okay.
It's that little office right there.
Right by that other hall that goes back to the detectives. It's right on that corner.
Yeah, it's right there
So
on
if
that
you're
corner.
walking in, it's right there to your right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They've actually changed it. That's like a little storage closet now. But he was sitting at his desk, behind his desk, and then she was sitting in one of the chairs. And, they were talking. I walked by and saw him. I don't know if I walked by or stuck my head in the door, to talk to him. Saw that she was there, and I left him alone.
Anything unusual? Sitting in there crying or laughing, joking, cutting up?
I didn't remember any laughing or crying.
Just kind of.
Yeah, I really didn't pay that much attention.
Appeared to be normal business.
Yeah.
Did you, were there any other officers that were out there at the PD at that time? Did you see anybody else there? Do you remember?
I don't remember if there were or not. If you told me there was, I wouldn't argue with you. But I can't remember anybody being there.
Okay. And did you see her leave?
No. That's the only time I saw her that night. After the traffic stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw her in his office, and that was it.
What about Sergeant Fennell? Did he approach you at any time while you were out there at the PD and ask you to help him with something with her, or
No.
do something for him? Okay. Later on that night, do you remember him talking about her or talking about?
No, at some point I remember him saying that she was going to be, an informant. She was from out of town. I don't know if I knew that from her driver's license or if she just told me that. I think she had told me that on the traffic stop that I made.
So were they just like passing through?
No,
They visited somebody? Or?
The guy that I arrested is a local guy.
Okay.
And she was supposedly his girlfriend. And
I just wondered about her being an informant from out of town, how's
well,
that work
it
out?
seemed weird to me. I mean, what's she going to inform you about?
She doesn't know anything about what's going on here. Why would he use her?
But if she really is the boyfriend of this guy, I could see us using her.
She'd be in that loop then.
Yeah, she would know. And, she was just arrested. Then later on the same night, she was in a car full of dope in Georgetown. So I thought that was weird, because she's from out of town. But if this is her boyfriend, her driver's license says she lives in Dallas. And I know it's being living in Dallas. But she was in the car with that guy, so I thought maybe she was going to turn on him and give us some information on him. But, he's a suspect in a bunch of burglaries and, just a typical...
Well-known.
Yeah, loser, so... I really don't remember anything other. I thought that it was weird that she was from out of town and going to be an informant, but it really didn't raise any flags because we've already found her twice in one night in Georgetown. She must know some people here, and since her boyfriend was that local guy, I can't remember his name. I could look it up, but
didn't speak very well for her.
Yeah. I arrested him, and then. Well, his mom works at Chick-fil-A. We know his mom real well, and he's had problems ever since he was a little kid. And I just
being involved in criminal activity.
Yeah, I was glad I put him in jail because I thought it was better off for his mom. His mom's a real nice lady, and she's getting her front door kicked in because he owes somebody money. And so I thought she might be better off if he was in jail anyway. So if we can get information to keep him in jail. More power to him. But.
So when that particular night when you were at the PD, you didn't have any involvement with her. He didn't ask you to help search her or watch her while.
No.
Or you don't have any? Do you have any knowledge of him doing anything like that?
No, I sure don't. Like I said, he talked to her. I don't know if Jimmy would have turned in his video that night or not. From March, even if he did turn it in, it might be gone by now.
Did you have any video going?
I'm sure I did, but my video, I'm pretty sure I just turned mine in. We cycle them through, we turn them in at the end of the shift, and they get erased after a couple of weeks.
But if somebody's charged, though, they would have kept it.
Something like a DWI, we always turn them in. On something like, on drug cases, we found a bunch of meth in that car. I mean, it was a lot of meth. And on something like that, I probably would have turned in the video. But, I was parked behind Jimmy, so I didn't turn mine in. If it were my arrest, I probably would have saved the video. But he talked to her back by his car for a while, and, I I dealt with the other people. I talked to them and watched them while he was talking to her. And, I never saw him search or anything like that. But like I said again, if you told me he did, I wouldn't tell you you're lying. I just don't know.
We're just trying to cover all bases.
Yeah. So, like I said, I wish I had more information, one way or another. Yeah, I saw something happen, or no, I was there the whole time and I know it didn't.
All we want to know is what you know. If you don't know it or didn't
Yeah.
see it, then we don't want any speculation.
Yeah. No, I don't. That's all that I do remember. So.
So Eric, your first name?
No, it's Rodney. R-O-D-N-E-Y.
Rodney Eric?
Yeah. E-R-I-C.
W-I-S-E?
Yeah.
What's your birthday? DL number? Social? You got hair brown?
Yeah.
Eye color?
Blue.
Height?
5'10", 180.
Home number for you? How about cell?
I'll call. I'm pretty sure that's it. I'll call you real quick if you want me to call you and you can
That's
get it for
okay.
sure.
I'll probably got a roster. Your desk number?
930-6100.
I appreciate you coming over here and talking to us. Belinda, do you have anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
And like we've told everybody else that we've talked to about this investigation, please don't talk to anybody else about it, because if it were you being investigated, you wouldn't want going behind your back and talking about what we asked you about or what you said or anything like that. It's not fair to anybody involved.
That's no problem.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
No problem.
It's 11:09 a.m. This concludes this recording. Matt Lindeman, Belinda Bartz, and Eric Wise were present. Today's October 29, 2007. It's 3:27 p.m. Hey.
Hey, there, sir.
Good. How about you?
Pretty good.
Matt Lindeman.
Nice to meet you. Met you before. Should get speaker of mine at one point in time.
Explorer program.
Yes, sir.
Got your driver's license with you, Benjamin?
Yes, I do.
Appreciate you coming up here today.
It's no problem, sir.
Anybody told you what it's regarding?
Just the call that night and when I talked to you.
I don't know if when I spoke to you Friday night or not when you were at the ball game, but some female over there at the Water's Edge Apartments made some very serious criminal allegations against one of the Georgetown police officers.
Okay.
So that's what we're looking into.
Okay.
All right. Jeremy Garza.
Yes, sir. Messed up my birth certificate at birth. Wrote my last name twice.
So that's actually not your middle name? Or it is?
And it is, according to my birth certificate. I want to get my license. They were like, I got to put my name on there, last name on there twice. I was like, what?
Where do you live now, Jeremy? Is that actually the address for that whole complex?
Well, it's
25
actually,
Water Edge?
it's divided into two. There's an entrance right there by Burger King,
Mm-hmm.
and that's for that southern part of the complex.
Okay.
Down there, and up on the northern part of it's the 25 Water's Edge. And that's the address where the incident were.
Your social? How tall are you?
69 inches, I think. I just got
5'9"?
it. Yes, sir.
How much
I
you
just
weigh?
got it. 150.
And hair color?
Eyes are brown and
Uh-huh.
black.
Where do you work?
I work at True Green Kimlon at Round Rock.
Is that all one company? True Green Kimlon?
Yes. It's TRUGREN and then Kimlon. That's a different word.
And a work telephone?
512 388 3726.
That cell number I called you at, what is that?
512 876 5712.
Appreciate you coming up here today. You know you're not under arrest. You met Detective Knutson,
Yes, thank you.
Williamson County Sheriff's Office. Taking you back to last Thursday night, Friday morning. We're interested in something that might have happened over at the Water's Edge Apartments when the police responded over there. And if you could go back to the beginning of that incident and kind of tell me what you remember hearing or seeing, or what led you to contact law enforcement.
Okay. Well, I arrived. I can't remember what time it was. It was after 12, somewhere between 12:15, 12:30ish. I got back to my apartment and I exited my vehicle. And as I was walking across, because I parked across from the apartment complex, the parking lot. As I was walking across, I hear the screaming, and I turn and look, and there's a male and female standing, a couple feet away, about, I don't know, from my apartment complex to the building complex, I guess you could say. They're sitting there, and I'm hearing the female just screaming at the male.
Cursing him, or?
I really don't know. I just heard a bunch of screaming.
Okay.
So I there was this truck that was, before I walk up the stairs, there was a truck that was there, and they had looked at me. So I kind of just stopped behind that truck real quick to make sure nothing else was going to happen. And I just kept hearing them yelling. And like I kind of peeked my head around the truck to make sure nothing, bad is going on real quick. And I see the female actually, kind of swing at the male a little bit. And that's when I was like, okay, well, this is probably going to go south here in a minute. So that's when I decided to call 911. And through the process of when I was talking to dispatcher and stuff, I told them what happened, and in the process, I guess the male had grabbed the female and looks like he gave her a hug almost, and the female looked like she bit him in the shoulder or did something because he let her go and she started swinging at him again. And so he grabbed her by the arm, and then they went behind this carport, because the way the complex is when you drive in, you have the apartments here and you got a row of parking.
Are you talking about when you drive in by Burger King or by the Comfort Suites?
By the Comfort Suites.
The main
entrance.
Okay.
And you make a right, and it's got the row of parking. It's got a little open carport garages there. Well, right there is when they went behind there, and there was a big Dodge dually sitting there, and they went behind there, and I couldn't see them, but you could just hear screaming.
You knew they were still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you could hear them yelling. And there was a car that actually came from the south end of the complex that was coming towards me, moving north on that road, that actually stopped for about 30 seconds to a minute. It was actually, I don't know what they were seeing, but they actually stopped. And then they just kind of took off after that.
Okay.
And after that vehicle took off, then the first unit arrived about maybe a minute.
And you'd gone through the Police Explorer program?
Yes, sir.
So you know most of the...
Yes, sir. It was Officer Stanford that was first on scene.
Okay.
He was the first one on scene. I was kind of standing outside already.
You still just off watching from a distance, or did you speak to him?
No, he actually drove up to the couple first.
Okay.
Because they were actually starting to walk away. And so he drove up to them first. And he was there, I'd say, about probably a minute or so. And then the second officer arrived on scene. And
Who was that?
That was Officer Morris, I think his last name is. His first name was Michael. I just know he used to be a dispatcher.
Okay.
TPD. And he was second on scene. And they proceeded to do their procedures, separate the male and female and start their questioning. And I still hung back a little bit. And then Sergeant Fennell was the third person on scene.
Okay.
Followed by Officer Roggenkamp and one of the new officers, which was his trainee.
Okay.
Then Officer Shelley arrived. And then Officer Robbins and his new trainee arrived, were the last people on scene. And I guess they had arrived just because they had the trainees with them. I guess to get them experience in different situations.
Okay.
And as far as I know, the people that interviewed each one was Officer Morris interviewed the male majority of the time, and then Officer Roggenkamp's trainee was standing there listening to him. and he was kind of just overwatching both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then Officer Sanford was talking to the female, and Sergeant Fennell was kind of back off to the side. And then Officer Shelley was kind of just there, just, you know, overwatching and stuff like that, just in case she had to do something because she was a female.
Mm-hmm.
There were Officer Sanford, you know, was just trying to figure out what was going on and stuff like that. And then I kind of just proceeded to walk a little more closer forward so that way, you know, I could tell him, hey, you know, I was the one that called in, and, you know, stuff like that. And Officer Sanford came and asked me what had happened. I explained to him what happened. And then at that point in time, that's when I saw them placing the male in custody.
Mm-hmm.
And then they put him in a patrol car, and during the course of all that, Officer Brown was in his training and cleared the scene. Let's see, Officer Rodney Camp in his training had cleared the scene. Officer Shelley had cleared the scene. After everything was said and done, they figured out who they were going to arrest, and then they took the male.
Morris?
Yes, Officer Morris did. He even transported as well.
Okay.
And they left, and
Did you hear Morris speaking to anybody about what was going to happen with the female? Was there any discussion that you overheard about should we take her, should we not?
that kind of stuff, I don't know, sir. I was kind of basically the way the cars were positioned were Officer Sanford's car was here, Officer Morris's car, Sergeant Fennell, and they just kind of staggered.
Mm-hmm.
So they just kind of stayed in between their cars, and I was just kind of back here behind Sergeant Fennell's car, close to the 3rd Patrol car that was on scene. Or actually, the 4th one. The way they were staggered would be the 4th one. I just kind of just stayed back out of the way.
Or was the female?
The female was in front of Officer Sanford's car majority of the time during the interview, and then I don't know what was wrong with her. She had a vomit for some reason. I don't know if she was nervous or what had happened. So she just kind of walked off to the side where a tree was at and began vomiting.
Did she actually throw up?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You heard it or saw it? Or?
I saw it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, at that time she wasn't too far away from me from where the tree was at. And Officer Shelley just kind of watched her. And so after she was finished vomiting, they brought her back, and Sergeant Fennell's was the first car. That was the closest car there. So they opened the back door and let her sit there.
Makes sense.
And they were talking to her, and she vomited again, but she vomited right there on the floor.
Oh, really? Did she get out of the car or just stand?
She was sitting outside the car with her feet hanging out, and she just kind of just vomited again. So from there, I know they were asking just kind of where she was staying at after Officer Morris and him had left. And they were asking her where she was staying at, and she kept saying she didn't know which apartment number it was. It was
Who's they?
sorry, Sergeant Fennell and Officer Sanford.
Everybody else was gone?
Oh yes, at that time. And I was still standing there just to make sure they weren't going to need anything. And I heard them just ask, where do you live at? Where are you staying at here? And she just kept saying there was some apartment number. She couldn't get it right. There was like one or another one. And Officer Sanford was like, well, there's not that number here. Which one is it? Stuff like that. And she was like, well, it's just down here and around the corner this way and stuff like that. And they kind of, Sergeant Fennell and Officer Sanford kind of looked at each other, and then they were just like, well, which apartment number is it? Because we don't know which one you're talking about. Other than that, that's about all I heard out of that conversation. And they got her out of the vehicle just to make sure she didn't drop anything. They looked inside again, and she sat inside, and they followed each other around the corner.
Did you ever see her get patted down or handcuffed?
She was never handcuffed. And patted down, I'm not sure. If I'm mistaken, I don't remember if Officer Shelley did or not.
Okay.
Because I know at one point in time I was just talking to some other officers that were there.
So before they both drove off, did the officers tell you bye, or you'd already finished and walked away? Or
No, I actually, after they closed the doors and everything, I was like, hey, Sergeant Fennell, you need anything else? He was like, no, it's everything that we need.
So they put her in the back seat of his car and shut the door?
Oh, yes. Yes.
She wasn't fighting them or anything like that? She was unhandcuffed and cooperative?
Yeah, she was cooperative.
Sick, if anything?
Probably, from what, I don't know. But she was cooperative the whole time.
You heard her speaking?
Oh, yes.
You think she was intoxicated?
Tell you the truth, I really don't know. Most of the time when I heard her speaking was after she was done vomiting.
Was she hysterical and screaming and
Before they got there towards the mail, yes, she was basically
aggressor?
If it was me, yeah, she was the aggressor from what I saw majority of the time.
She didn't treat the officers like that?
No. No.
Did you relay that to anybody? What you'd seen, that you thought she was pretty aggressive? Or
Oh, yes, I had, when Officer Sanford asked me, I was like, well, the only thing I saw was her swinging at the male majority of the time. But I don't know how their interviews went and how everything went along. I know they had examined her face when they were all there.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't know what. And I don't know what was the leading factors to what they took the male for and stuff like that.
So then last place you saw her, she was in Fennell's car, doors were closed, he was in the driver's seat?
Yes, and
that's the only two that were in that car?
Yes, sir.
And then Sanford
was in the front patrol car, and they both proceeded around that corner to try to find that, I guess, the apartment she was staying in, because she was stating something like, when she was trying to give them the house numbers, she was like, but they won't let me there without him, or something like that.
1634 sound familiar to you?
Something along those lines. I'm not really for sure.
She kept a long way from where you all were, where they were parked.
To tell you the truth, I don't know the numbers on there, because it's kind of confusing. Because like I know the first set where I live is like 100s, and then it just jumps around.
Okay.
I just know is if you go and turn right, you're going south, and it comes up to the end. It's the intersection right there where the Burger King entrance is there.
Yeah.
And they proceeded left, going east down that road. And it was she kept saying it was there, down that way. She kept telling them two different numbers. She said it ended with this or it began with this, one of the two. But she just kept saying that, I don't know if they'll let me stay there without him, and blah, blah, blah.
Was there any discussion that you heard between Sanford and the Sarge about, hey, I want to take her to jail, or I think she needs to go to jail, and the sergeant said, no, I don't want her to go to jail?
No, sir. None that I heard. I mean, not that I heard anything.
Did you hear him talking about anything about finding her a place to stay other than that apartment? Did you ever hear the word motel or hotel come up?
I don't know. I think they might have asked her, because I know they asked her, do you have anywhere to stay at? And that's when she said, well, there's this apartment here, And that's when she started saying these two different numbers and stuff like that. And she was just like, but I don't know if they'll let me stay because I don't have him with me, and they're friends of his or something like that. I don't remember. I just know that that's what she had said about that. She just gave him two different numbers and said, I don't know if they'll let me stay because I don't have him, and that was about it. And I know they were, before Officer Sanford got there, that's the direction they were walking towards.
Being an explorer, how long were you involved in that? Or are you still?
3 years. I can go and help out every now and then. It's because I went to the military.
So you're familiar with the equipment that the officers wear and body mics and things?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you ever see Sanford and the Sarge, like, giving him any motions like cut your mic off, or did you see Kyle Sanford take his microphone unit and turn it off or anything like that?
Never. I never saw any of that.
When they drove away, where'd you go from there?
Back in my apartment to go to sleep because I had to be at work at 5:30.
Okay.
So.
You can get out and walk the dog or anything after that?
No, sir. I don't have any pets or anything. I just went up straight to bed.
Out like a light?
Yes, sir.
Do you know anybody else out there, any other people that live around you that may have seen something or have commented to you or anything?
At that time of night, no, sir. Like I said, the only other people I saw was that vehicle that drove. It was a white vehicle, white 4-door.
Well, that's a civilian vehicle.
Just a regular POV car.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, it's just a white 4-door. I don't even know the type it was or anything. I just know it was white, but I guess it had like a gray trimming on the bottom. And I know it stopped there because I was standing there just when they went around that corner. I was standing there and you just hear them just yelling, and then I just know that I saw that vehicle come and just stop.
Okay.
And then other than that, I don't know what happened with that vehicle. I know it just left that apartment complex after that.
Anything else?
Did you ever hear anybody say anything about, where's your car, or you got a purse, or anything like that? Did they ever talk to her about a purse or a car?
I don't believe so. Like I said, when they first got there, I didn't walk up until there was about three units there.
Right.
Because I know that the first two are there. They're the only two because they were at singles. So I wasn't going to go up there and just stand there around.
Right.
Even they know who I was. And I mean, it doesn't matter because I just don't want to interfere with their work. So I didn't walk up there. When I saw Sergeant Fennell pass me is when I started approaching the vehicle because I know he was just going to stand there or watch everything.
Did you talk to the sergeant at all?
When he first got out the vehicle, I was just like, "Hey, Sarge, how you doing?" He goes, "Hey, Jeremy, how you doing?" I was like, "Good." And I was like, I was the one that called it in. He goes, "Okay." I was like, "I'll just be right here if you need anything." He goes, "Okay." That was everything to that extent. And then when they were leaving, I was like, all right, Sarge, you need anything? He was like, no. He goes, thanks for calling it in. And I was just like, just staying busy. Just a regular conversation, we're staying busy for the night. He's like, yeah, I was staying pretty busy and stuff like that. And that was the end of that.
Okay.
So,
Have anything else? You're on my business cards. My office is over there at the DPS building. If you need to call me and I don't answer for some reason, leave a message and I'll call you back if you hear anything else about this or if you know anybody else that we might need to interview.
okay. Yeah, the only reason I knew you were trying to get a hold of me was Officer Shelley. She had asked me if you had contacted me, and I was just like...
Yeah, she gave us your name the other night that you had called it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I talked to her Friday night, and she had just told me that she had gave me my old cell phone number. She didn't have she had my new one, she just didn't save it into her phone, so...
Right.
So once I talked to her, she was like, did Ranger let me get a hold of you? I was just like, no. I was like, why?
What's that all about? Huh?
Yeah, she was like, just for the call. Thursday night, there was some allegations made, and she goes, that's all I'm allowed to tell you.
You have any questions for us?
No, sir. I mean,
It's,
that's about all you can tell me, so I don't look confidential out of that stuff.
Anything else?
Did you ever see her put the female that they had out there that they had stuck in the sergeant's car? Did you ever see her at any time, like,
Steadying herself in the car.
She did when they took her out to inspect the car, make sure she didn't have anything. She stood back there and she was standing like someone like this.
Was she on the driver's side, or they put her on the passenger side when they
She
had her in there?
was on the driver's side because that was the closest side after she was done vomiting.
Is that where she stood? Is off to the back of the driver's side?
Yes, sir.
She didn't move around the other side that you
No,
saw?
sir. She just got out of the car and just walked around and just kind of just stood there with her hand on the patrol car while they were looking at it. And she
But on the driver's side?
Yes, sir.
You
On
sure?
the back. Yes. She was on the back side.
Okay. That's all I have.
Back side, driver's side, towards the center of it. It was on that sector, the back sector of it.
Okay.
If you don't have anything else, I'm going to conclude this recording. It's 3:45 p.m.
Yes, sir.
And just to clarify before we begin, I'm not being investigated for anything, correct?
You're not accused of anything.
No.
Just talking to you as a witness.
That'll work.
Today's October 26, 2007. It's 11:54 a.m. My name's Matt Lindeman. I'm with the Texas Rangers. Justin, would you say your full name, please?
Justin Ray Robbins, police officer for the city of Georgetown.
How long have you worked for Georgetown?
4 years.
On patrol that whole time?
Yes, sir.
I want you to understand also that you're not under arrest and you can get up and walk out of here at any time you'd like to.
Yes, sir.
Your birthday, please? How old are you right now?
I'm 28.
Hair color and eye color?
Brown and brown.
Height and weight?
6'1", probably 215.
Social? We were working with Stengel and Shockrell yesterday, so they know that we were going to call you guys in. I'm sure they can compensate you on your time here.
No big deal.
Your home address, please? Home or cell? Like I told you briefly on the phone, some very serious allegations have been made against your patrol supervisor, Jimmy Fennell. So we're just interviewing all the officers on the shift and any other potential witnesses. So if you know somebody that knows something, whether they're inside or outside the police department, that would help us with our investigation.
Okay.
Be very glad to get that information from you.
Okay.
You worked patrol Thursday night into Friday morning?
That's correct.
6 the 25th till 6A.
That's correct.
26th. Okay. And Fennell was your supervisor?
That's correct.
Who all was on you guys' shift that day?
I had a rookie with me by the name of Aaron White.
Okay.
Michael Morris was on for that evening.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Sanford. Terry or Rusty Rogenkamp.
Mm-hmm.
Terry's his proper name. Shanna Shelley.
Mm-hmm.
I believe she had a rookie with her by the name of Jeff Dower, D-A-U-E-R. Chris Gershner.
Okay.
All right, and Shane Rogers. And I think that was it.
Yourself, Aaron White, Sanford, Shelley, Dower, Rogenkamp, Gershner, Fennell, and Rogers.
Yes, sir, please.
Tell me, I'm real interested in the events over at Water's Edge Apartments or anything leading up to that. Just tell me about the whole shift. Everything go as normal from the beginning of the shift? Anything unusual happen?
Nothing unusual for that night, no, until this incident came up. We were on a domestic and we were on a shots fired when this came out, or there was another domestic coming out at the same time this one did, which I think Gershner and Rogers went to. I think Rusty and Fennell, and it seemed like somebody else was over in the area of Cottonwood and Dunman investigating the shots fired. We'd stopped the vehicle and determined it was probably not involved, and we couldn't find anything else out on it, so we went ahead and just unfounded. During that time, the domestic came out from Water's Edge, and since I had a rookie with me, we tend to jump calls for training and things of that nature.
Some exposure.
Right. So we headed over to Water's Edge. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, we were one of the last cars to get there. There was four there already. So as soon as we saw that there was four, we got out for just a second, just to see if anything was happening out there. Nothing was happening. Nobody was fighting or anything. So we just jumped back in the car and took off and went back on patrol.
I think there were 4 units there.
I believe there was 4.
And no calls routine. So
It's-
you know what I mean, but a typical disturbance call. How many
Typical-
you roll at least 2 cars?
Yeah, we mandatory do 2. If sometimes we have more than that go just because they want something to do, or if it sounds like there's more problems going on, we might send more if they're not doing nothing. Once again, I think Officer Shelley was there originally because she also had a trainee with her, Mr. Dower, and want to get on those calls if we can to get that experience in there.
Okay. So when you pulled up, who do you recall being there?
I believe Officer Morse, Officer Fennell, Officer Sanford. I'm not sure if
Shelley?
I think she was there also with her rookie. I'm not sure if Officer Rogenkamp was there yet or not. I can't recall that.
Okay.
This would be the first time that we went out there.
A little after midnight.
I believe so.
Did you speak to anyone on the scene?
Mm-mm.
You just
I saw Kyle, and I may have just said a word or two to him, but nothing. We pretty much walked up there, saw there's plenty. We didn't need to be there about face, and came back to the car.
Things were calm. Nobody was screaming. Nobody was struggling or anything.
Yeah, no fight, nothing crazy going on. So
you and Aaron just got back in your unit.
That's correct.
Went in service.
That's correct.
Okay.
But we never even checked out of service because it was just so immediate that no point even showing us out.
Is there any video
from us? No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Do you know what happened from there? Who went to jail? Who went where?
I was told, or I knew. I'm not sure how I came to know. I'm sure I asked one of the guys, but I believe the male went to jail. I remember seeing a male and a female out there, but paid no attention to what they were doing or anything. They weren't fighting, so I didn't really care what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I recall being out there.
You know what happened with the female?
At that time, I think she was either released or they maybe took her to an apartment with some friend. I'm not sure what happened with her. I don't know.
Do you know who did that or who released her? Or who
I
took
couldn't
her?
tell you. I believe it was Sergeant Fennell that actually released her, but I wasn't there. I can only speculate.
Okay. When was the next time you saw the sergeant, or did you see him anymore that shift?
Yeah, I saw it. We came back to the PD. I think we were working on reports and some other information stuff we needed to finish up for his training, for Mr. White's training, And while we were at the police department, I think Officer Fennell or Sergeant Fennell came back in during that time.
And can you narrow it down to approximately?
It was shortly after that, maybe within an hour. I know it was prior to the second call going out there.
He say anything to you?
About being out there? No.
Or anything at all?
No, sure didn't.
You know, how people greet each other or
Right.
BS a little bit.
Yeah, no, he didn't say anything to me about it. But he wasn't, he went off, I think, to dispatch or did something else. He was doing something and we were busy, so we hadn't talked during that time.
Obviously, you know, with allegations made against somebody, we want to do everything we can to try to pinpoint where that person was.
Right.
Or we
Right.
substantiate the claim or make it go away, one of the two.
Yeah, the only thing, I don't know if he checked out at the station or not, which would show his time, but the only other thing is I know we have video there at the station that would show when he's coming and going. If it's recorded, I'm sure it is recorded somewhere.
You don't have access cards you have to use to get in the building.
That's correct,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
So that would show him coming and going and the times. He came in through the back door, which is the one we use primarily, and like I said, that I know we have video on that door.
You saw him there sometime within that hour. Did you respond to the department's second call?
No, I did not. I was at the police department when the call came in, and I heard some of it as it came in, or not the actual call, but what was going on, and no, we didn't go back out there.
Okay. Did you have other calls that night, or did you guys just stay around the PD for the remainder of the shift?
No, we did some different things. I can't remember right offhand if we had anything in particular. I know we were trying to work on some traffic.
White was with you the whole shift?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. We had a 96 lady out at Walmart that we were on for quite a while. In fact, we had to call county out to help us with that.
Yeah, Walmart there in Georgetown?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. You guys, at the end of the shift, do y'all meet back at the police department, Sergeant, have like a debriefing or anything?
We don't have a debriefing, but usually we get back, or around 5, somewhere around there, or somewhere in that time period, finish up paperwork and turn in all our stuff and get things available so that the next shift can get their stuff and go.
You see the sergeant then?
Yeah, sometime during the time I saw him. Yes, sir.
Any mention of the incident out there at Water's Edge to you?
Just briefly that she was. They were talking about the girl again, just that she was crazy, or maybe not crazy, but just high and drunk or something like that, and just.
Was there any mention of the allegations that were made against him at that point?
When the first call came in, I heard that she was calling 911 saying that she had been raped by a Georgetown police officer or officers, and was just frantic on the phone, and was also calling county at the same time when all that stuff came in. So I knew it had come in. I knew what the allegations were at that time, or what she was saying. Mm-hmm. But as far as having firsthand knowledge of being out there, I wasn't out there.
Okay. Do you know anything else about that situation? And if you did, would you tell me?
Absolutely.
I don't want you to be concerned that it's going to affect your job
No.
in a way. I just want to know the truth of the matter and everything you know.
Yeah. I don't know anything that happened other than it's my understanding that the male was taken to jail the first call and the female was released for some reason that's unknown. I believe that maybe some of the other officers had intent to take her to jail at that time, and maybe were overridden by the sergeant. I don't know why. I don't know what for. I don't know
you hear that
circumstances.
from the officers?
It probably came from the officers.
I can't which one.
It seemed like maybe Sanford had said something about it. He was, I think he was disappointed in how that scene turned out, and he didn't feel like things went right out there.
Seems to me if she'd have went to jail, a whole lot of less problems would have occurred.
It seems to me, yeah.
Seems like when you try to give somebody a break, that's when it comes back on you.
Sometimes.
More often than not.
Definitely sometimes.
Is there anyone else that you know that we should contact about this investigation that might have some information?
Other than the complainants, I think that's the only people that would have first-hand knowledge is the ones that you've had, the ones you've already spoken to, I believe. I'm not sure who you've talked to, but that's all I can think of.
Okay. You swear all this information you've given me is true and correct, so help you.
Absolutely.
I'll give you one of my cards. It's
Okay.
got my office number and my cell phone.
Okay.
If you think of something that we didn't talk about, if something comes to you think's important or whatever, give me a call.
You got it?
And I'm going to ask you to give me a brief written statement too.
Okay.
And we'll do that here in just a moment. But it is 12:07, and if you don't have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and conclude our recording.
That's it.